preparing to live stream the meeting. This meeting is being live streamed. It's happening. Did you get a
It's
warning?
happening.
You
I got
like
the message. I see it says live.
oh, good.
It says YouTube.
It's happening right now. Oh, now I can hear myself. Okay. How do I? Okay, wait. Now you talk here.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
talking.
Okay. I was hearing like it started opening up the live stream window and then it started replaying 30 seconds ago and it was like a nightmare. Like
Yeah,
just
you were caught.
like in a time loop.
You were caught in the time loop.
Okay, now we just have to say things of substance before anyone else comes on, right? 'Cause now we're official. Like,
Did you say we just have to say things of substance? Is that all?
Yeah,
Okay.
just things of substance.
Happy Sunday. That's all I got.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Happy Sunday. Are you dressing up for Halloween?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Super excited for Halloween season to be over. I know everybody's in love with Halloween season. I bought a book the other day and the lady was like, ooh, spooky season. I'm like, it's just a book. I don't like
but the candy, Alicia, the candy. I don't understand. It just brings me joy.
I'm not going trick-or-treating.
Well, I am. That's why I love it. I didn't like it until this year. So I get to eat the candy.
Okay.
And we watch like low grade spooky stuff, like Addams Family, stuff like that.
Okay.
Naomi, you got a notification. We're being streamed live. This is happening. I did, now.
Yes. And okay. I just saw your text message. I'm sorry, I was on another meeting that bled directly into this one.
Not a problem. Oh, and there's like a chat if people wanted to join. Our many subscribers who could join us at any moment can chat if they want to.
Excellent.
Yeah, cool. How are
Is it just us three today?
Are we discussing the merits of Halloween?
And we are.
Yes.
My entire adult life, I have wished to have trick-or-treaters, and I have never had a single trick-or-treater. And I am quite sure that in the neighborhood I live, I'm going to have trick-or-treaters this year.
That's exciting.
So excited.
Oh, you will? Yeah.
Yeah.
We've never had them ever either. Ever.
I'd never, because New York and then Atlanta, for some reason, we never had them. It was COVID. That is why. It was COVID.
But you could do like the distanced, like we're going to put the bowl. No.
I had candy. Nobody came.
I do like receiving trick-or-treaters. It's just not something that has happened a lot. You know, when I lived in like the suburbs, we just didn't get a lot of trick-or-treaters. And I think when I remember living in Fort Lauderdale, I got one trick-or-treater. He and his mom came by my house 2 times, came by my apartment 2 times because nobody else had candy.
You know, I was talking to Sean about this, and he was saying that as a kid, he would avoid the apartment buildings. I didn't. I saw that as more opportunities for candy in a short distance, right? But like, I don't think maybe apartment dwellers are not known to be generous candy givers. Maybe it's the houses that people target.
Yeah.
I feel like now so many people go to one location, like they'll go to the mall or something where there's just a lot of, at least that's what was happening.
It's not fun. It's an extreme judgment all of a sudden. Okay, go on.
Did you say malls aren't fun?
Well, because I think the thrill is actually the weird types of candy in the weird houses, and you're not going to get the weird candy at the mall. You're going to get the same thing over and over again.
That doesn't sound thrilling to me at all.
Oh, like the weird, like who gives the Necco
candy
wafers?
from strangers?
No, okay, I pitched it poorly. But like the Smarties, like someone giving Smarties instead of M&Ms. Like you want like the weird house that gives the weird choices. That's what I do it for.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Is it just the 3 of us today?
Courtney said yes.
Shall I text her?
Oh, sorry to make you do that. Like, I feel like you're now the babysitter of anyone. Okay, thank you.
Weird. You would think I didn't have coffee like just a couple of hours ago.
Oh,
Goodness.
thinking about it.
I would like another cup. I'm not going to, but I would like another cup.
I was gonna come here with a Coke Zero in my hand, but
Hoping for a little product placement dollars.
yeah, exactly.
I got
Would
product
that
placement
work?
on my coffee today.
What?
I got product placement on my coffee today,
Where is it?
which I'd never seen
Oh.
that before. It was an ad for Grey's Anatomy on the coffee
Oh.
sleeve.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I mean, this is my local, cute, adorable little coffee shop, and I go there all the time. They handed me my coffee. I was like, "Where are these people on the sleeve?" Like, I didn't understand what was going on at first, and then I brought it closer. I was like, "Oh, it's Meredith Grey, Grey's Anatomy, Thursdays at
Grey's Anatomy
8 on ABC."
advertise at this point? Haven't they been on the air
Right.
for like 15 years?
More,
More than 15?
yeah.
That's not a bad idea, though. What if we
It's
were to create little
brilliant.
coffee
Hey,
things?
Okay.
I'm into that
It's
idea.
Brilliant. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm annoyed, but also this is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a company who, like, somebody just had this idea and created a company to create these advertising coffee sleeves. And then there's just this random coffee shop in Long Beach trying it out.
Because you could just pay for the coffee sleeves and give them to the
Yes,
coffee shop
yes.
for free.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I was thinking, right? Because they need them anyway. It saves
Mhm.
the money in their
They'd be delighted
inventory.
not to pay for them.
Yeah. I wrote it down, coffee sleeve. Just confirming, I'm not taking notes anymore, right? Or because we're doing these recordings and we're being live streamed to the universe right now. Or I don't remember what we said last time when I asked this question. Should I still take notes?
Well, I think somebody should take notes on our accountability things, but
Yes. Okay, let me head over to
it
the
doesn't have
drive.
to be you all the time.
Well, I don't mind doing it today. How about that?
Hi.
Hello.
Oh,
Sorry, I came home and my dog had eaten like a full thing of treats. I don't know how she got up, so she is currently in puppy prison. So if you hear someone screaming for their life, it's Cleo. It's like shredded, like just shredded everywhere.
does your
Wow.
dog sound like a human screaming?
No,
Okay.
but she's very dramatic, so I'm sure she'll start
I
yelling.
wonder
at
where she got that from.
Yeah, I have no idea. But she's so bad. This is not the first time she's done this. It probably won't be the last. But yeah, she just has no remorse. She's like, I got the treats, so whatever, worth it.
I got the treats. I'm doing the time. I've made my
Yeah. So whatever. Oh, she's so bad.
How big is your dog?
She's little. She's a little dachshund. She's like 13 pounds. She's very tiny, but I think she got on a chair that was like farther out and like leapt onto the table from it and knocked the treats off.
They can be very determined.
Very good.
Yeah, she was like, "Ugh, I know they're up there. I want it." So
My mom's 6-pound dog ate an entire bag of marshmallows. Like, the bag was bigger than him.
Oh,
Like,
no.
Hi.
no, he was fine. My mom was very upset because she loves marshmallows.
Yeah.
Oh
That's a
my
whole
God.
bag gone. Those things
The
are
whole
precious.
bag.
Oh, it's crazy. I know they don't get, because she's eaten, I mean, she ate most of like a human-sized pizza once and she's never gotten sick from it. So it's like she also just will never learn her lesson. But
No, the lesson is it's delicious, and then she spends a little time in puppy prison, and it's fine.
yeah. Yeah. So, you know,
Waiting is worth it.
Some crimes are worth the time.
yeah, that's the problem. She's a bad dog. It's fine.
Naomi, you brought up a really good point in terms of accountability. So we don't have last week's notes that reference the accountability. We have the recording from last week. So I just wrote accountability in this week's
Maybe
notes.
we remember.
Yeah, maybe we just remember if everyone wants to at some point remember what they were supposed to do this past week and share it either directly in the notes or in the meeting right now.
So Christian and I were going to finish the second draft of our movie, and we didn't, but for very good reasons. We worked on it and found a really exciting thing to open it up further. So will probably finish the rewrite this coming week, but it's a good version of not having done the thing we thought we were going to do.
I was just going to be on vacation, so I didn't have any.
Go.
Well done.
Sometimes that's a
Wow.
task though, to like make yourself do
Yeah.
that and
Did
not.
you succeed?
I did, and I did bring my laptop with me because I was like, well, maybe I could like do some writing if the mood strikes. I'm in the cabin, writing retreat. The mood did not strike. And so I left the laptop right in my bag, and I read 2 whole entire books.
Wow.
Took naps, enjoyed the scenery, drank wine. It was glorious.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it really was amazing. Next year, 7 days. This time was too short. 7 days next year.
Nice.
Wow. That sounds
Courtney, what was your?
I think I was supposed to, so I checked in with Angelia and Jordan, who I'm working on this thing with this week. And Angelia's already in Spain, so timing wise, it's like very early for her right now. Jordan was on a shoot today, but is wrapped and was like, I can hop on, but I don't know if we still want to talk about I talked to both of them individually, explaining the pod and the mission, and kind of the plan, because I think my homework was mostly just to figure out what documentation looks like, or what the best system is to experiment with this. And I think the easiest is going to be to just record and post stuff on TikTok, because then it'll be recorded somewhere, because Instagram doesn't really have a good way to save videos in the same way. And then if anything's kind of longer, or if it makes sense to do longer ones, which I don't think is going to happen while we're shooting, like maybe after the fact, do like longer pieces, kind of like what we learned and how we did it on YouTube. But we'll see how this TikTok setup goes. And my friend tonight, I'm going to see her, she was like, I'll give you a TikTok tutorial. So I'll probably start recording stuff even like tomorrow to be like, here's what we're doing. Here's the plan. Here's like what this film idea is. And then kind of outline that, and I don't know, see how it goes. It's definitely an experiment. We'll see. But I did talk to both of them about it. And then I'll share the pillars with them directly. I just kind of talked about what it is.
Were they overall on board with the idea of encasing your experiment in this experiment?
Yeah, they're down for it. So Angelia, who's gonna act in it, is also a filmmaker, and she's like obsessed with Brit Marling and that sort of school of like mumblecore and whatever in general. So she was like, this is great, because she's like made her own content as an actor a lot. So and she worked in arts education for a long time. So she was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like, I'm so down to do that. And Jordan's like in new wave mumblecore or whatever, for lack of a better word. So that's kind of like how they operate anyway. Like sometimes his producer will be like, you don't have to share everything with the audiences, like in Q&As and stuff. He's like, maybe like don't tell them that part. So he's fine just being really transparent about the process. And the three of us haven't really worked together before either, so it'll be interesting to see how everyone's different sort of like mentalities work. It's sort of like I say, it's like the art crossroads of like art house and mumblecore. So we'll see if the sensibilities gel or how it works. So it's definitely an experiment on many levels, and just having random Spanish people that I've never met in real life who are helping out. So it'll be very indie, very figure it out as you go experience, which feels like a good start for our experiment overall, to be like, can you keep this going when you don't know what's coming next? You just have like an idea. And we're like shooting off a deck instead of a script, so there's a lot of different elements of experimentation happening, so it feels right to document it in some weird way. But I
Cool.
think that's going to be the easiest, is to just post videos and do it as we go and not worry about having to edit anything or set stuff up, and just do it very like docu kind of style. Yeah.
When's your shoot again?
We start on the 30th or the 31st. So I get there the 29th. And then yeah, the 31st.
November, October.
October. Yeah, I leave.
Oh my
I
God.
leave Thursday night on an overnight on a red eye. Or
Okay.
yeah. It's a little nuts. So that'll probably be the first video. It was like, I have had this idea for a really long time, and then two friends who happen to be in Spain with a camera, so we're just gonna go for it.
And this is or isn't a proof of concept for the feature you're shooting?
It's a proof of concept for a different feature. Yeah.
Okay.
The people were like, you shouldn't make that. Nothing happens in that movie. And I was like, well, maybe if you see it, you'll change your mind. Because a lot of movies, nothing happens. So I don't know. So it's a spite movie. It'll be great. Or maybe it'll be like, yeah, no, this is not a good movie. You know, nothing happens. And then we'll be like, well, we tried. And that'll be part of this video series, is like, sometimes people are right when they give you notes. But I won't know until November. So yeah.
I don't remember my assignment. I think it was revise the script, which we're doing. And I sent out an email to all my producers and my department heads that I have attached so far to schedule our first meeting together, because I'm trying to suss out who's real and who isn't, because a few people have expressed interest, and who really, we never really know if that's real and who gets along with each other. So I sent that email today. And then the proof of concept that I'm doing in January is not going to be under Story Made. I mean, it's a 1-day shoot. I just don't know. It's going to be a 12-hour day is what I think is going to happen, but maybe we'll document it in other meaningful ways and try to make strides and other thoughts and efforts. But I just don't know a world where it's not going to be a 12-hour day.
Does it matter if it's 12-hour day though?
Well, that was my own personal weird soapbox thing.
Okay.
So it's like the one thing I keep repeating.
You're the first one to break it.
Yeah, officially this was never going to be a Story Made project, so hopefully it doesn't count. But I mean, in my heart it does. But if I can use my update as a way to segue to recent worries that I have, maybe it could be a conversation starter for everyone. Whereas I was riding this high of like, okay, I'm making this movie, feeling good, said it out loud, building the team, really confused about how to fundraise for it, because I just feel like if I don't have this safety net of investor agreements that I have in the past, and my other two features at least started with a crowdfunding campaign, it feels like I'm not on any strong foundation right now, and curious if anyone else is feeling a similar way, where it's like, what is step one? I don't even know what step one is right now.
Step one in fundraising or in general? In
fundraising, because I have millions of questions about how we should do an atypical casting call and how we should, I have millions of questions in other forums, but I can't do any of those things until I have a plan for fundraising in my mind.
I would love to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Are you planning to do WeFunder?
Well, I think we were planning to do WeFunder.
Yeah.
But because, I mean, you guys tell me, but like, I don't know how we're going to do that before the new year at this point. And maybe that's something to pin the hopes and the plans are on. It's like, because we're not going to shoot in January. We're going to shoot in probably May or June at this point.
And how much do you need to raise?
Oh, well, my Elena, I don't know what she is. She's doing a breakdown right now, and she was supposed to send it to me last weekend and she didn't, but I can't, I'm not going to give her time. It's really nice of her, Elena, if you're ever watching this, for doing it in the first place. So I don't know yet, but I'm guessing it could, it's one location, 2 locations, it's we could, if we were doing it on an exploitative micro budget level, it could be done with very little, I think, maybe 150, 200, something like that.
You could probably do $500,000 with paint, like properly, whatever that means. I feel like you could do that based on other things I've worked on that are around $500,000.
Oh, like, yeah, I mean, like, yes, absolutely. Like there's a world where we would be paying everyone and
Yeah.
the actual value of everything was down on paper. But I think I'm interested in working in atypical models for the location and for vendors. So there's the on paper budget and there's what we need to fundraise to get it, to make me feel like this is real. Yeah.
So this is the big question, right? Because if we accept that under any current system at the moment, there's virtually no possibility of making more than $50,000 back if you are very lucky. Now, I think part of what we're talking about is how do we create other revenue streams, our own sort of distribution streams to hopefully make back more.
Or reduce the parts that are taken away in traditional distribution, right? Either way, either create or reduce.
Right. But that's a big experiment.
Yeah.
So are we going to go out to investors and once again say, don't worry, you'll make your money back, or you might lose all of your money, but we're going to try to make it back through this new model? Are we not going to do that and just say this money has to be free? Can we think of some clever other path?
Just from my perspective, I feel like I'm in a weird place because I chose to do a horror film. And because this idea of a commercial financial success has been something I've been talking about for a long time. So I think I might not be the majority of answers here, right? Not everyone's going to say the same thing, but I think my angle is I'm going to make you money. I'm going to make me money. I just don't have the infrastructure to even give to a potential investor right now.
What do you mean infrastructure?
Well, I mean, I don't have an investor agreement, and but then we want to do it in an atypical way, right? Like we don't want to do 110% first in, last out. Like I think we started conversations months ago when we talked to Orally and we talked to each other, but it feels like it's just the tip of the iceberg of how we could revolutionize an investor contract at this point. And then I get overwhelmed by the options and I start to kind of like get paralyzed almost, right?
So what feels bad about the investor agreement, not in the legal paper terms, but like in the structure terms currently?
I think it's the prioritization of uninvolved partners. Right. And sorry, I've like completely abandoned my note-taking options. Thank you. And I would like to see what everyone else says, but like for me, it's like these people that I barely know, I'm paying them, but I took advantage of my friends and family to get to this point where I'm then dispersing money to people who came in at the very last minute and enabled the film to happen. And it's like this idea of a waterfall being inclusive of at least the crew, but maybe the cast and the crew on the same level as these people who came in is interesting to me.
The waterfall thing, including people, is interesting because I've been thinking about that for this the Barcelona shoot, where I was like, does it make sense to put, because I'm like, I'd like to have some kind of contract. I was like, I'll do a collaborator contract or whatever, just because I don't want to like fight with my friends afterwards. But I was thinking like, I wonder if there's a world where, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, or an accountant, but like, could you have an investor agreement that's sort of like the value of what someone contribute, or like be like, okay, everyone has the same investor agreement for, let's say, like we each put in $5,000. Like we didn't actually, but let's say we did. And then we're the investor. So even if someone came in later or someone like came in or whatever, like there's already the people who help out from the beginning kind of in this waterfall, and the money is not real in the budget, but it's it's like what you would have paid
In kind.
or it's some kind, yeah, because rather than say, okay, everyone gets, 5 points, which are like less valuable than an invest, right? Because you're first in. So I've been thinking about that too. If there's a way to call people investors who are investing time and create like a monetary equivalent,
Mhm.
There absolutely is.
cool. Because I would like to do that.
Yeah.
But that might be like for your film as well, to if like, okay, here's the whole budget and here's what we're kind of getting for free, but what if we acknowledge that it's worth more than that? I don't know.
I love that idea. The thing that bumps for me is that film is already one of the worst possible investment categories for investors.
Mhm.
Right.
And what you're talking about is making it worse for them.
De-incentivizing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's not fair that financial capital gets prioritized above human capital. So how do we solve for that?
So I've been thinking recently, what I've really been thinking about is it feels weird in my head. That's why I'm like hesitating to say it. I was like, what if I divorced the need to make profit from the film itself from the experience of filmmaking? Because on the one hand, it's so extraordinarily difficult to do it, right? So what is my goal? My goal is genuinely just to create more movies where women kiss. That's literally my goal. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what a lot of queer fans want. They are starving for content to the point where that's literally what we have been told at festivals. Like, we're starving for content, like make more stuff. Why haven't you crowdfunded anything yet? Etc. So what if there's a world in which I can be completely transparent with the budget for the film and create a subscription model for the budget, instead of like you donate one time to a Kickstarter or a WeFunder or whatever. It's we have 12 months. You are committing to 12 months and at this rate every month. And when the film is released, you get to see it. You don't have to pay for it. You get to see it. There can be other avenues of revenue based around the film, depending on how the film is released. For example, on YouTube, right? You can get into YouTube advertising once you get enough subscribers to your channel. They also have memberships on YouTube where you can paywall extra content. So I'm like, if I can divorce the need to make a profit from the actual film, what other avenues of revenue can be created around that to fill that hole, especially if everyone is getting paid appropriately for making the film in the first place? That's kind of what I've been thinking about over the past little while. And I'm thinking that I think I would like to try it out for the short film. There's a little, like a little beta version of that.
So what resonates with me about what you just said is that to me, the worst model is the one we have, where it's like you go out and raise all this money and you're like, don't worry, I'm going to do these things later that will make you back your money. And then those things either do or do not happen. I mean, because it's playing the lottery, right? Even as many factors as you try to control is basically playing the lottery. And the industry keeps changing. The landscape changes every 2 months. So by the time the film's out is whatever. So I like the idea of, is there a way to actually solve the revenue problem in the fundraising step so that the movie is paid for and then whatever happens later is what happens later?
But these are people who are, they're donating.
I
They're
don't know.
not investing.
I don't know. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if there's a way that the complete thing can happen during the fundraising, that will be better. It's also better because of this thing I always go on about, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it again, which is that there's a weird mentality thing with people where if you're crowdfunding for your film, somebody will give you $500 in support of this film, and that same person will not pay $2.99 to watch the movie when it exists.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's this golden period where people will give you more money for your film before it exists than they will once it's a product.
I'm thinking a lot about, so I have this, I'm working with a sales company in one of the films that I'm attached to, and doing the game that we all know or we're familiar with, right? It's like casting certain names that trigger certain value in international territory, and that's our budget. Our budget is actually entirely pre-sales. Like someone may fill the gap, but it's really funny. I've been cut out a lot of the conversations, so I just have like this top line view of what the strategy is. And it's like, we've talked marginally about international, but like our entire film is going to be, our $2 million sci-fi film that we're doing is going to be funded entirely from international and not in any way from domestic. And it's like, is that a part of everything we're strategizing? Sorry, that's bad English, but I'm just saying, like, your subscription model, Alicia, is like, are we doing a global communications to get that out? Because that opens up so many opportunities for all of us. And then I think about, let's use Google Translate to get it off in different languages, or like, how do we make sure that we have a global footprint? I mean, I think it even starts with the website too, is on a very basic level, do we need to create a way to like a translate widget that they have on websites that allow other people from other countries to
I think
understand what we're doing?
those are automatic now. I know in Chrome
Amazing.
it's an automatic function because mine will switch to French sometimes, and it usually when someone else is using my computer just to annoy them. But like sometimes sites will like automatically translate. So I don't, but it pops up and it's like, would you like this translated? But I don't know if that's just in Chrome or if other
Okay.
navigators use it as well, but that's not
But-
This is a good
That's
question.
good to know.
yeah, I don't know if you have to add something on the back end to make it that it's automatically translated, but I feel like if there is, Squarespace would probably have that you can just embed it really easily. But yeah, it's worth like checking. But I think it's pretty easy to make it fun.
Well, and Liz, this brings up something we ran into with the re-release of Bite Me, where the internet by its nature is international
Right.
marketing, right? So like, but the way that films are released is not. And so I had people in like Turkey being like,
Right. How do I see it?
I
How
want to
do
see your movie. And you're like, you can't apparently. We're
Right.
like, and I don't know how many sales we missed out on, but it's dumb. You don't want to miss any sales.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to bring up another question when I feel like Alicia was starting a conversation, but it spiraled out for me.
I mean, we go where it leads us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the subscription model is good. But fundamentally, that's basically the crowdfunding model extended over time, which I
Yes.
think is a step in the right direction, but probably doesn't solve the whole thing. So, like, what's the innovation we need to shift it so that you can get enough people to give money at that stage, and they don't need it back, or they're willing to accept whatever happens, that you've solved the whole problem.
Yeah, the subscription model is very Patreon-esque, or I mean, that's kind of what it is like, I support you as an artist versus I'm just supporting this one project, or I'm supporting this project in a longer term and whatever comes out of it. That's not really an answer, but I don't know if that's like a good to just use, because it already exists, to use that for some of the projects and create this sort of piece that way.
But I would question how much, if you'll be able to actually get enough more money that way
Right.
to be able to like really,
Yeah.
because in my experience, unless you've somehow developed like an enormous following, there's kind of a cap to how much you can raise on crowdfunding.
Yeah.
That is some kind of equation based on how many people are involved in your team who are actually going to send out the emails. Like we raised 35,000 for Bite Me on crowdfunding, and I don't think I've ever seen a project where, like, again, the people didn't have some like freakishly large following raise more than about that.
I mean,
Oh, good.
I know of a podcast. I mean, they have a pretty decent following. I wouldn't call it freakishly large at all. And they raised over 6 figures to make a musical podcast that was just like a shoot off of their, regular podcast where they just talk about, queer culture and stuff like that.
What is the podcast called?
The podcast is called Let's Hang Out, LEZ. And then they just raised, I don't remember the number. I think it was over, I want to say maybe 125 or something, I think, to produce a musical, basically. A musical and a musical podcast. And if you think about I think it's more about like, you have to be so specific with the community that you're reaching out to. You have to niche down as much as you possibly can to find those fans who are so thirsty for what it is you're giving them. They are going to pay for it. And as we spoke about before, if you're not selling, there's content everywhere. What people are thirsty for are experience. Mm-hmm. So for me, that goes back to, if you don't pin everything on making revenue from the actual project, mm-hmm. What are the experiences that you are providing through that 12-month subscription / crowdfunding phase? That is what gets people engaged. That's actually what they're paying for. Mm-hmm. Can you create those things that cost, those experiences that obviously cost the least amount of money, so that it's not subverting your fundraising?
I think what I keep getting stuck on is the step before your step, Alicia, which is, I'm used to a marketing campaign that comes with one crowdfunding campaign. And that's actually what notifies people that I'm fundraising. And that's how I usually attract investors. Mm-hmm. How we were going to do a Patreon campaign as the 4 of us. We decided to push that down the road, which I still am very supportive of. We have this bank account, but we're fundraising individually. I'm not going to start my LLC or we don't even know if we're going to start a communal LLC until the new year. So when we go out to people, we can't really go out to people right now and say, we're going to launch Give Me Money, and here are the reasons why and what we're doing, right? Because everything has to be in a line. I
don't think so. I think there should be nothing about this that holds anybody back at any point. I think if you are ready to go start talking to investors, they would be investing in your LLC anyway, right? I mean, if we ever do communal fundraising, that's the point that we'd have a communal LLC.
Yeah.
But you would always have to, but then that LLC would have to invest or donate to your own LLC. So you'd need that anyway.
And it's a long game, right? Anyway, right? It's like, none of us, I mean, I would love for all of us to have this experience, but most likely none of us are going to talk to someone today and they're going to be like, where's your bank account? Let me write a check right now, right? So we can start to, sorry, going back to you, Alicia, I just needed that like kind of kick in the pants for someone to say like, yes, we can start to broadcast this now, whatever it is, however you want to do it. So like, going back to your question, does that mean you can start to communicate to your audience right now that you want to do this monthly subscription as soon as possible, right? Because you're shooting in January as well for the
I don't know
short?
when I'm shooting yet.
Okay.
It will be in the first quarter of next year, but I don't know
Yeah.
exactly. Here's something that I've been trying to problem solve with this idea is that you would need to drum up, preferably you would want to drum up as much support as possible before you actually open it up for people to sign up for it. And so I really feel like I wouldn't want everybody signing up in sort of like stages where it's like, well, 12 months starting in September, and then your 12 months starts in December, and da 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 da. So it's like, here is the, can we get this amount of people signed up? Once we reach that threshold, then the campaign begins and people begin to be charged their monthly rate instead of this sort of piecemeal across the 12 months.
I would propose to you that you effectively run a 30-day crowdfunding campaign to get signups.
Mm-hmm.
And your 12 months starts at the end of that first month.
Mhm.
Because there's some kind of magic around those 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So thinking about your podcast example, so I looked up the podcast. They have 444 reviews on Apple Podcasts. So that's like, if you just thinking about how many more subscribers, that's a pretty substantial subscriber base they've built.
Oh yeah.
Time with a product. So that's a great model. Is there something, and maybe it's that you make this short film and that builds your subscriber base then for the feature, and they get this 12-month experience of the short film.
I mean, and the short film wouldn't be 12 months
Okay,
because it's less amount of money.
sure.
I don't even know what amount of money it is yet because the script is not finished. It's well, the first draft has been finished, but it's in the rewrite stage. So I'm not sure how much it's going to cost, but it definitely wouldn't require 12 months of fundraising, which is why I think it'll be a great place to try it out. And I love the idea of just doing the 30-day crowdfunding first, to sort of set the stage, and then maybe a 3-month subscription, you know, and during that time, you're getting all of the backstage feeds for what's going on. What is this process like? You know, maybe audio diaries or TikTok or, you know, whatever the case may be. And perhaps like, you know, whatever kind of other monthly experiences that can be thought of, but I want to just give the movie away for free once it's done. I don't want to send it to festivals. I don't want to do any of that because the goal is to gain more subscribers and build on that so that when I'm ready for the feature, I already have a subscriber base.
Right, for an email address, right? Like for an email address, you give away the film so that's the transaction.
No, not for an email address.
But that would save you a step.
Not necessarily, because if I put the film on YouTube and put the film behind a subscriber wall, it's still free, but you have to join in order to see it.
Right.
So I'm
you think that people wouldn't
I'm still getting access to people who are invested in this particular product.
So they have to hit the subscribe button before they can see the movie.
Right.
That's what we're that's what
Okay.
I'm suggesting. Okay, cool. Same
Right.
page.
I mean, but so it's not like the email specifically, like through, I thought you meant like a website, like the separate, I mean, because there would still be that sort of thing, but the main transaction would be going through the YouTube channel.
Okay. Okay.
I really like where you're going. I think this is a very smart idea for your film. What are things we could offer people as part of these subscriptions beyond just sort of the behind the scenes thing? Because I feel like I've been trying the behind the scenes thing for many years now, and it works up to a point, but I think it doesn't work. I think there's a limit to how many people are interested in that portion of it if you're not super famous already.
Yeah.
I always like watch alongs for movies, specifically the type of whatever genre it is you're in. You could probably do sort of a film club specifically for that genre of film that you're about to release, and have sort of a monthly meetup, virtual meetup, or even, you could have a in real life meetup just wherever you happen to live, something like that. Break people into small groups so they can discuss it amongst themselves with, questions, run it just like a book club.
Seems like more work.
I mean, it's
what I
it's
hear.
where are you going to
I
do
think
the work,
Definitely going to be
it's
more work, but think about this kind of work where you're actually engaging with people and like act genuinely building your audience, and how much work is that going to not be on your plate when it comes to marketing the film?
Mhm. I think it depends too on, well, two things. One, some of it depends on the film. I mean, the book club thing is interesting. I'm like, I could do that with mine, for sure. The like watch long aspect, I don't know, my stuff's pretty dark, but also in terms of the audience building, like behind the scenes, whatnot, I guess that's a little bit what I'm testing with this first one too. So we can kind of learn from that experiment on the way as well and be like, okay, are people interested in the making of, like, from the beginning, if it's really transparent, if it's done in this way, if it's like answering these kind of questions people seem to have. Like I know a few people who teach film, so I'll reach out to them and be like, hey, if this is something, like offer, like, if you want to share this with your students, like this is a thing we're doing. Because I know that's usually like the kind of questions I'd be like, okay, what are questions people usually ask when you're like, I made this film, or like I want to make films, and try to focus on that aspect of it and see if, yeah, people are interested and engaged. Because right now it's kind of a theory. And that's something that's darker too. So it's a different, like, right, that's really like the making of, more than like this film has this specific kind of, it's not like horror fan base or like a music or something that's like has another layer of it. It's like that's kind of the core of the stuff, like content that I'd be making while shooting this. So we can see how it goes, and if we can learn anything from that helps with the like how to market before fundraising element.
I wonder, I think this is going to be really film specific, because like Alicia, you're trying to target a very specific community of people, which is great, and I think doesn't work for every film. But I also wonder if there's like, could there be a topic based thing? Like if there's sort of a core topic or conversation in your film, could you begin to build a community around that conversation ahead of time, and like have panels of speakers who are talking about that thing, who are experts in that subject, and begin building it out that way?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And the film that I'm doing is a superhero film, in which no superhero things happen, where this woman gets done saving the world and has to go home and save her marriage. And it's basically about Black women in particular, and how, especially in times of cultural and political strife, they are looked at to sort of lead the way and be strong and all of that. And what does that take away from you and from your life when you're always supposed to be the one leading the charge? And so, there are definitely conversations that can be had around that. And so I think a really important part of it, like you were saying, is outside of just the genre, what are the themes? And can you target those themes specifically?
Right. Whereas for horror, I think it can be largely built around the genre because that's already a community of people.
Yeah, so like what I'm kind of chewing on right now is I think I'm going to announce to my newsletter what we're doing and a call for support like in the next week or two. And then I think I need to do a new MailChimp account just for, which I've never done. I always blend projects and personas together, but I feel like I have to do a new one just for this horror feature because, sorry, this is getting very nitty gritty, but because I want to block shoot, that's going to be my incentive, is people are going to be able to see the film as it's put together, as we shoot it. They're going to get to see the footage, they're going to get to see the cuts, they're going to get to have access to the, because I think we're going to be making this film over several months. I think that's my incentive for participation. And so I think it's going to be mainly a newsletter and some sort of like data transfer FTP situation. I mean, we could watch cuts and I can listen to feedback, but it's more of a process oriented community building thing for me, I think, which I think would work for horror fans, not just filmmakers.
Yeah.
And I feel like horror fans might also be interested in that format and being able to influence the movie in some
the kills, like I envision lots of input about the kills, like
and like little Easter eggs, like if you give X amount of money, you get to like a prop that you decide on will appear in the background of, like
that's interesting. But
things that wouldn't impact your artistry, but like when they see the movie, they'd be like, that's my prop in the corner.
But I still am thinking that I'm going to be going to investors to make the movie, but that the people weighing in aren't necessarily people that are giving money. They're just people, they're my first audience members.
But what if you combine those things?
No, I should.
I mean, people,
you're right.
People literally on YouTube, like when people have talk shows and people give money in real time to like say for that person to say something in real time.
Yeah.
This is how like these shows make money.
And I'm certainly open to that.
They want to give their money to things they love.
But then it's, what is the system, right? I keep going back to that question of like, what is the system? Is it Patreon? Is it something else? Is it some people are just giving money to they're just Venmoing you monthly? Like, what is the system that people will trust in order to participate in this exchange?
I mean, I think Patreon makes sense if it's what the sort of thing that Alicia is talking about. But as I said, the YouTube thing, I was like, what about that? I mean,
they just have like a Cash App situation or something.
No, it's I know vanishingly little about this, but Stephen watches things that this happens on, where like literally the host is talking, and in this feed on the side you can see people giving the host money in real time as the show's happening live.
So that has to be integrated. Twitch? Oh yeah.
Do they do that? I'm very unfamiliar with Twitch, but I think that's the thing that happens.
I was going to say that a minute ago, and I thought I might sound stupid, but now I think we're right. If we both had that same thought, that's probably true.
So that has to be an integration, right? There has to be some sort of financial institution that's vetting or taking a fee from the participant and bringing it to you, right?
Yes.
So it's just deciding what one we want to do if we all, or if some of us decide to do that. I
Right.
get stuck on tiny things and then they blow up in my mind. You can see that is what's happening right now. So I'm like very stuck on like, well, how do I do that? Right. And like, what am I signing up for?
But I think like the internet is wonderful in this way, right?
It will inform me.
If you very specifically decide how you want this to function, I guarantee you there's some service that exists that will allow you to do that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It's starting to be exciting. It's not there yet, guys, but it's starting. I can see the excitement.
We have 4 minutes left. I would propose that we continue this conversation next week.
Yeah, and maybe think about, well, next week I'll be shooting. Yeah, that's actually nuts.
We'll continue the conversation and you can live stream it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The 30th will be, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it'll be 1 a.m. for me. That's actually not that bad, but
you can watch it back. It lives on YouTube, so you can.
That's true. I can watch. Well, I'm like, maybe I can join for part of it and be like, oh, hey, I'm in Barcelona. And then I'll tell you if I regret all my life decisions or not. And we can go. Because I start shooting like that next morning, the 31st. So the 30th, we're like scouting and.
If you are recording TikTok videos, we can also watch them and talk and discuss them.
We already know if I'm regretting my entire life by then. It's great. In real time.
And Courtney, can you send me your bio and your headshot?
Oh my God, yes. I can do that.
And I'll have the website up this week.
Should we do accountability things for next week on our final? I can write them down. Timber, you've been so good. 3 minutes.
Wow.
We're almost done. I hear that you're ready.
My dog has to come out of prison when we're done with this.
Okay.
Oh.
Come up for the last 3 minutes. Okay. Timber.
This is getting us views. Just this. It's like we've just 10 times our.
Pay for our movies.
I think so.
This is the cutest puppy ever. Hello.
Oh my God.
The rest takes care of itself.
I just want to snuggle. Hello.
Why are you talking to the screen and not to me?
So cute.
Okay. I'm hoping we'll have a draft, a full second draft that we can send you by the end of this week.
Yay.
Do you need me to type while you have a dog in your lap?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yes. Okay. Full second draft.
I'm trying to get the first 5 to 10 pages written of this feature. I still have to sit down and do all the thinking work first, so more likely 5.
Sorry, I don't mean to get involved, but yes, I do. Apparently I do. Oh, is there a reason why you don't want to focus on the short first rather than the feature? Or do you feel like you
Well, I am focusing on the short. The short is written.
Oh, okay. Then never
So
mind.
that's just in I'm just, making it better.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. Thank you. Ready? Where are you?
Huh?
Did you say what you're doing?
Me?
Yeah, is it just I'm shooting?
Barcelona to make her movie.
I'm making a movie.
I gotta write it down, guys.
Yeah, I'm shooting a film. And I'm document. I mean, the big thing to like for StoryMate is to document, like shoot videos of like the chaos, which won't be chaos.
Chaos is fun.
Great.
As a viewer.
Yeah, that's true. It's like turns into some like wild reality show of like, oh boy, anything's possible, really. And I would love to finish the draft of my script magically before I leave. in the next 4 days. So the biggest thing is like I'm shooting this weekend, terrifyingly. So I need to get that figured out.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna set dates and I'm gonna make an announcement through my newsletter. Okay, everyone, yay, we're done.